Welcome to He Did This to Me, the sports podcast from a father and son who happen to be mostly optimistic Knicks, Jets, and Mets fans. My name is Nick, aka Goody, and with me is my old man, aka the big guy, Noel. And just like his name, all we do is win. Let's get to the show. It's time to begin. Knicks improved to 8-2 since acquiring OG Anunoby. Our fearless leader, Jalen Brunson, missed 2 games with a calf contusion. We badly missed him in the loss to the Magic. The Knicks missed 10 out of their last 12 in the fourth quarter, scoring only 16 points to lose to the Magic 98-94. But then Brunson came back with a vengeance to get consecutive wins against the Rockets and the Wizards, scoring 30 against the Rockets, 41 against the Wizards, 41 8-8. Talk to me, big guy. How we feeling about our Knicks?
Feeling good. I mean, Brunson, I mean, this guy, man, hey, he is, he should be, sorry, he should be a starter on the All-Star team. He's that good. I mean, he is that good, man. He continues to amaze me. Obviously a big fan and obviously, Team Brunson. But I mean, this guy, he's really, really good. And he's going to have your occasional all shooting night, but he had an off night, if I remember correctly, in one game during the playoffs last year in that series against like Miami where he struggled or whatnot. That guy is elite, man, and I think 8 games out of 10, he's going to give you what you need. And beyond that, he leads the team. He's a leader, man, in how he plays, in his demeanor. Just in the way he goes about his business, I think he's a very, very good leader for this team. With obviously Randall being secondary, but Randall clearly is much better when Jalen is on the court because they just clamp down on Randall a little too much when Jalen's not on the court, and that leads to us seeing a little more of the bad Randall that we don't want to see.
Absolutely. When it comes to Randall, going back even a few years now, he always plays his best when he has a legitimate point guard. Remember
Mm-hmm.
a few years ago, that year that we ended up losing to Atlanta in the playoffs, Randall, when did he start to blow up? When we traded for Derrick Rose.
Yes.
And he got a legitimate guard, somebody who it doesn't even have to be somebody who is always, setting him up to get buckets, but it's somebody who can just run the offense and we don't have to run it through Julius. So yeah, he's definitely best when he is kind of the second guy. Before I dive into Brunson, real quick, I gotta throw this out here. Knicks, please, can we please start to take care of the ball? It's driving me bananas. Last night we had 17 turnovers
Yeah.
leading to 23 points against the Wizards. It's the only reason that the Wizards were in that game. Everybody on the team seems like they think that they're, Jason Williams, and they want to throw, one-handed no-look pocket passes all the time. Just uh, for me and for Tibbs, for our heart and our blood pressure, because he gets so furious sometimes with the turnovers. And I'm doing the
Oh yeah.
exact same thing at home because we're playing these teams that we're just clearly better than, and we're letting them be in and stay in the game because we're being careless with the ball. And it's affecting everybody. Julius and Brunson, they're going to turn the ball over because they're so much usage. They have the ball in their hands so much. I like it a lot better when they have 2 or 3 turnovers as opposed to 4 or 5, 6. I think last night Brunson had 6 and Julius had 5. It's just way too many, and it's careless play, and it's starting to affect everybody. I see Hartenstein. Hartenstein recently has been making some stupid turnovers where he tries to make a pass where it's just like that's an impossible pass to make, and then even DiVincenzo, who's usually, pretty much takes care of the ball. He's been throwing it away some. So I just really hope that that's something they put an emphasis on. I know Tibbs is in their ear. I know they're looking at the tape, and I know that I've heard them talk about it in post game that, hey, I had too many turnovers. I got to calm that down. They just got to get that under. They just got to get that under control. They got to get that under control and quickly. As far as Brunson, listen, I'm not big on like, oh, it's his team, it's his team. It's Brunson's team. Okay. It's Brunson's team for a variety of reasons. First and foremost, let's just look at the fact that his dad is the coach and he's brought in 3 of his college teammates since he's been there.
Right.
They're clearly catering to this guy, and rightfully so. Been fantastic. Had 33-7 against the Rockets, 41-8 last night. Monster game, 20 points in the fourth quarter. Just absolute ball and taking over. In those games where he was out in the fourth, it was just so glaring the loss of Brunson and not having him to be able to just get us in a position where we get off a good shot and have a good possession. And yeah, Julius, he really shines and looks so much better when he has him next to him. And, clearly, not only is this Brunson's team, but like you said, and I'll actually dive into this a little bit more in detail later, he is one of the best point guards in the league and should be starting the All-Star game.
That's a fact. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely Brunson's team. Definitely got the Nova feel. I had to laugh when I noticed something yesterday, Nick, on the bench. Ragu came off the court, had played well, came off the court, and Josh Hart is sitting here, and then Ragu wants to sit next to where he is, and little evil Ragu is sitting where Ragu wants to sit, and evil Ragu gets up. And he looks over at Hart like, can you move over? And Hart just looks up at him like, are you serious? And he goes over and takes the next seat on the other side of Hart so that Ragu could sit here. And then, some other guys moved down over there, but Hart was not moving. I just thought that was kind of funny, and the whole evil Ragu thing is just fantastic. I love it every minute. Every time I see those two together, it makes me laugh.
Yo, they call each other twin.
I know. That's hilarious.
That's great. I love that they call each other twin. That's great. I'd actually kind of like to see Malachi Flynn get a little bit more burn sometimes. I mean, it seems like when there's been some games where he's coming, I think he had 9 points in the first half and then didn't see the floor in the second half. He's definitely not the answer as far as our backup point guard, I don't think. But there are times where it feels like I'd like to see him get a little bit more burn, especially because, Jalen Brunson, he's played 40 minutes in each of the last two games. He plays a very physical brand of basketball. Turns an ankle last night. That's after the contusion on the calf of the opposite leg. We got to figure out something. I'm not one of these guys who's like, hey, Tibbs is going to run them into the ground. But at the end of the day, Anunoby's played over 40 minutes in 3 games straight, 43 the last 2. Brunson has played 40 in the last 2. We'll talk about a little bit later if there's some more help coming on the way, but we got to figure a way to, get that under control with the minutes. Julius has had an up and down week, in my opinion. He's had some games where I thought he's looked great. He had the one game where he had 31, where Brunson and him both topped the 30-point mark, and we were able to beat the Rockets. He looked great in that game, looked very controlled. I think he shot 11 of 19, which I love that percentage. And then he's had some other moments where just the body language and the overall effort on defense. I think the game against the Rockets, was it against? No. I'm sorry, against the Magic is where he sprained his ankle. He sprained his ankle against the Magic of the Rockets. Whichever game that was.
It was against the Magic.
Right. He definitely he was a little bit compromised that game as far as his ability to move around. It looked like that to me. He was able to come back into the game, but he did not look quite himself. And I'm not going to overreact to a couple games. And I definitely think that Brunson being out of the lineup kind of exacerbated this overall situation. But I definitely need Julius to, just make sure that we continue to grow as we have this year and not regress.
It's extremely important. I mean, I personally thought I saw some times where he was loafing, running back on the defense, just not giving that all-out effort. And as we've spoken about a couple times before, and I've said, when that guy gives supreme effort on defense, it lifts the whole team. So, I'm hoping somebody's in his ear, or maybe he's watching film and seeing that, hey, I didn't do everything I could do there. And he seems to be a lot more introspective this season in looking at himself. So hopefully he continue to do the same. Like you said, I won't overreact unless I see it over and over again. Then I'll be bummed out. But right now, I'd say, just figure it out and keep moving where you're going. But now the thing I would say about Brunson and these guys, listen, I get it that Tibbs definitely carries the narrative that he runs people into the ground. But, clearly last night, Brunson's minutes, we needed every one of them. Every one that he was out there, we needed it. And, OG, we needed. So we do need some help, with some of these guys because they will get burned out, especially Brunson by the end of the season. He takes too much contact, and I don't think he can change his game or alter it. That's just the way he plays. And I love the way he plays, but he plays physically. So I just worry about him because I tell you what, man, that guy gets hurt and we're done.
Yeah, no, he.
Done, but we're in bad shape.
Oh, I think we'd be pretty much done. I mean, as far as being able to, I think we would become a play-in team, and we might have a hard time. Definitely have a hard time getting out of the first round. I mean, he
Yes.
is the straw that stirs the drink, as they say. I mean, he's everything for this
Yep.
team. I think
Yep.
that his overall demeanor and his game, I just love his ability to get a quality shot. And that sequence against the Wizards where he gets he gets two and ones back to back and just every at that point things were getting a little bit, a little bit dicey there. And then Brunson gets those two
Mm-hmm.
and ones, night, game over. Your boy Jordan
Mm-hmm.
Poole, straight up, he carries. I said this in one of my group chats last night. He carries himself on the floor as if he's like a 14-year-old kid. He really does. Jordan, he like even just there's times where he made this shot, but he put the ball through his legs, danced, did all this stuff, and then just pulled him inside the jump shot. And I was like, you could have taken just one dribble and pulled up and got that exact same shot. Exact same shot. And then you saw where he dove and slid on the ground, but he had no chance and he turned and he rolled over and all that. It's just like, what is this? This isn't the Globetrotters, versus the Washington Generals. Like, come on, guy. I cannot think of a player in the league that if he was on the Knicks, I would be more annoyed by his act on a nightly basis.
Campaign.
Yeah, campaign's high up there. That campaign pregame work. First of all, it's not just campaign's game though. See, Jordan Poole's game bothers me. Campaign's game does not bother me. My issue with him is that silly dance routine pregame, and also just his face. He looks like a dodo bird or something. Like, yeah, that's I wouldn't want to look at that face every night. That's for sure.
Jordan Poole is definitely a silly guy. He just, he doesn't exude confidence or seriousness in any way when you watch him as a pro athlete. So, yeah, I wouldn't. He's not somebody I'm recruiting for the Knicks. No way, no how.
Yeah, one thing I gotta say out there to our Knicks Nation is I, for one, I'm not gonna be one of these people who complains about wins. It kills me. I tried to listen to a few different Knicks podcasts since last night, and there was the same thing after the win that we just had against the Rockets, where everybody's so doom and gloom about the fact that we had such a tough time beating this inferior team. And I'm sorry, but I've been around for enough Knicks teams that would lose these games to teams that we quote unquote should beat.
Right.
And I'm not going to sit here and cry about us going out here and taking care of business and getting W's, especially when we're 21-1 against teams that are under 500. So therefore, it's not like this is something that we can consistently do. Is it always pretty? Do we always win by 20? No. But at the end of the season, like they always say, they don't care how it happened. They just want to know, what is your record? And we continue to get those wins. We continue to get those dubs. It's nice when we can blow people out and let these guys sit the fourth quarter. Sometimes it's not going to work out like that, but it hurts a whole lot more, and it's a whole lot worse when it ends up with an L next to an L in the win-or-loss column.
See, what amazes me about that when people bitch and moan like that is a couple things. One, this other team is a professional team. Okay, these are professional players on the other team, and they can get hot and make some shots, many shots in a row too.
And as
Okay,
we've said, they're playing in the Garden. So
that's
even
right.
if they suck,
Right.
if the team sucks, this is one of the best efforts they're going to give all season.
That's right. And then also the thing is, hey, people always say, well, we should win and we should do this, we should do that. The guys out there playing, unless people hadn't noticed, they're human. And humans don't always do the same thing the same way all the time. They're not robots. So they're not going to always play at a standard. That's why, frankly, the coach has done a good job by making them play at a certain standard, but that doesn't mean it's always going to be there. They're going to have ebbs and flows. They're going to have moments when they dip below the standard line, and that's what causes these things to happen. Now they're going to have other games where they win by 20 when they play up to the standard all game, but things happen. Like you said, I'm not wasting my time complaining about a win. This is the last point I wanted to make about that. And this happens, unfortunately, Nick, with all our teams because they've been losers for so many years. But so many people speak about their teams that way. They don't know how to speak about the team unless they're complaining.
Yeah.
I feel like with some people, they don't speak about the Knicks or the Mets or the Jets. Yeah, but what about this? Yeah, they won, but it's always that kind of thing, and that gets old, man. I mean, enjoy yourself, Jesus. I mean, this is life, man. I watch sports for enjoyment, man, not to when they win be upset.
I'm with you. No, I'm with you. It was tough when Rodgers came out and he was saying all of these things in the pregame, talking to McEnroe. Remember, he was talking about how the fan base here, we need to start being positive and all these things. And he's talking to McEnroe and he's running out with the flag. And then
these things happen again. Humans.
I know it does seem like these franchises are a little bit snake bitten, but I'm gonna, the thing is,
you don't think the people in Detroit have said the same thing up till this year?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? And that's my point, Nick. We live in this bubble where we feel like, oh, our situation is so terrible and blah, blah. There's other people going through the same things. It just, it's not only happening to us, it's happening to a lot of people, but we know what's happening to us because we feel it every day.
I think if you look at a city and their fan base, which obviously with New York, it's a little bit different because there's two teams in all of the major sports.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at like just our fandom, Knicks, Mets, Jets, I don't think that there's anybody, you could take three teams from any other city and they've had quite the downtrodden recent history that we have and just been overall like a laughing stock.
Who in the major league? Well, probably not all from the same city, Nick. No,
that's what I'm saying.
Like we have so many teams. That's the way it works out. But listen, there are other baseball teams that have never won. Other NFL teams that, like I saw this the other day, and like Detroit's never won an NFL a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but there's no LOL Lions. There's no LOL Tigers. That's the thing. There is an LOL Jets. There's an LOL, like that's a thing on Twitter or, out there in the world, like that whole.
Who cares?
I mean, I'm just saying that.
I don't care because I don't even look at Twitter. So I don't care. I didn't even know that existed. Who cares? No, I'm talking about real issues like, our losses suck and they do. But I do also realize that other people are going through the same things. I mean, we are not alone. And sometimes we feel like, I feel like a lot of people feel like some people take pride in our misery.
I don't get that.
Jets Knicks fan. Yeah, they're like, just the first, the Jets suck. And, I don't know. I just think it's a shitty way to go through life, but that's just me. Maybe I got on rose-colored glasses. Maybe that's it.
Maybe. On a more positive note, our man OG continues to be the plus or minus god. His plus minus numbers sometimes at the end of a game, that he plays well. And plus or minus to me is a stat that if you look at it for a particular game, it could be very misleading. But if you look at it over time, I think it's very telling. It's not quite as good as like your overall your net rating, so your offensive rating and your defensive net rating combined. But I think that when you look at OG, it's just so obvious all the different ways that he makes this team better. I mean, we've talked about this a ton, so I won't repeat myself too much. But one thing in particular that I notice is that when he is on the weak side and he's in the corner or he's out at the elbow extended behind the three-point line, that guy that's guarding him, he has to stay just a half a step closer to him than he had to stay to RJ. And that opens up everything. And also, if that ball gets swung to him and that guy is a half a step closer to him, due to his release, how high it is, and his overall size, he can still get that shot off pretty cleanly. And, last night we needed his offense. He had 19 big points. He had a couple of times where he was, where he, actually, put the ball on the floor. Everybody's looking for him. He's always out in front or making the cut, and then finishing with a strong two-handed dunk, very sure. A couple nights ago, I think that was against Orlando. He almost had a crazy body where he tried to dunk on like three people, but it got blocked at the last second.
Yeah.
Man, if that would have went down, but yeah, loving what I'm seeing from OG. Continues to impact the game positively for the Knicks, and just, the perfect fit for what we need.
OG is a fantastic player. I love what we're getting from him. And the other thing about, like you say, when it gets swung to him, Nick, if he's not ready or, in a good position to take that shot, he just makes a quick pass. He moves the ball. I Listen, and this is the problem with Randall too. But I mean, RJ, when he got that ball, it was very seldom that he got the ball. There was nothing there. He just boom, moved it. Moved it to the next guy, and it just keeps moving. That I see a lot more with OG now, and that I'm very happy about with what I'm seeing. I mean, you just can't say enough about this guy OG. And I even like his demeanor, man. Very calm, very even keel. I saw some people trying to say that he clearly doesn't like Randall. I think that's stupid. I think the guy just looks the same way all the time.
I'm going to say I can't tell who he likes or he doesn't like.
Right.
He looks always the exact same.
Exactly, and that's what I like. Nobody knows what's going on in his head. There you go. Let's go, OG.
Yeah, one of my favorite sequences of the entire season is Hartenstein with the block at the rim on Jalen Green, Josh Hart ripping the ball away, running through the what should have been a foul call, but I'm glad they didn't, on that your boy Desmond Bain, or what's his name? What's his name? No, that's not his name. Dylan Brooks.
No,
Dylan Brooks.
Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, you should have been a foul on him. He's a dick. I don't like that guy. I don't like him at all. But I did like in that game. It seemed like they just said, "Listen, Julius, Brooks, Josh Hart, OG, we're gonna let y'all play." All right. They let everybody kind of just bang. And I'd rather let that be the case, because trying to officiate with that guy, he can bait people into and even officials into some bullshit sometimes. So yeah, so Josh Hart gets the block. Then I'm sorry, Hartenstein gets the block. Josh Hart dribbles the ball up the floor, pushes it up to Julius. Julius with the no look, immediate touch pass to OG for the dunk.
Awesome.
Maybe the best sequence of the season so far. And that's something that I feel like I've seen Julius start to do a little bit more. Just, that quickly get the ball and swing it real quick. As you were saying, that, that's something that previously he didn't always do as much. He's starting to do that a little bit more.
A little bit more.
I'm liking the two-man game between him and Ragu. They start to look like him and Bullock a couple of years ago recently, where it's just, where he little handoff screen, Ragu, quick release, bang. His jump shot continues to be pure. Great floor game, gets to the rim, makes great passes, just needs to not get too loosey-goosey with the ball, like he has here a little bit recently. The bench woes, though. The bench is struggling. We're missing Quick for sure. Your boy Grimes is just so like, he gives me a little bit of reason to believe, like, okay, yeah, I kind of like that. But then, he'll have another game where, he plays 15 minutes, scores 0 points. He goes 0 for 5. So Grimes, it's like he's on the block, and I think he might need to go. I don't really think he's adding that much to the team right now. He's a strong defender. He is a sometimes good shooter. He refuses to dribble the ball. There was one time I texted you during the game yesterday where he gets the ball, guy runs at him, he makes the move on the closeout, gets into the rim. And I mean, he's got the athletic ability. I don't know why he gets into the paint right there, why he's not just trying to just cock back and bang on somebody's head. He ends up making a questionable pass that, if it wasn't a turnover, it soon led to a turnover. I just don't see Grimes developing. He has not taken a step forward at all. He's worse than he was last year. He seems worse than he was last year. I realize that he's been in a tough position with, changing roles and not getting consistent minutes. But when he does get on the floor, like last night, he had the opportunity. Josh Hart is out, and he didn't step up. So I don't know if Grimes, it looks like Grimes is going to be gone. And I think that's the route we need to go.
Yeah, it's hard to speak against that. Grimes, I was hoping for really great strides and step up this year, and just haven't seen it. Very disappointing, And then I'm reading where, I'm seeing articles saying that he's frustrated, And I'm not exactly sure why he's frustrated. I mean, I feel like if he came out and was playing lights out gangbusters, Tibbs would have him on the court. You know, Tibbs would have him on the court more, but he doesn't warrant more time on the floor. I'm sorry. He just, I mean, his defense is good, but other than that, it's a little disappointing at times. But
Yeah,
then again, who else are you putting in the game to get his minutes? I guess Hart is getting more minutes, right?
yeah, Hart is getting more minutes than him, and I don't always love Josh Hart at the two. I think especially
Right.
late in games with Hart at the two. That game against Orlando, I was screaming at the TV to get DiVincenzo back in the game because we had, we needed with Brunson out, we needed DiVincenzo's ball handling and with and just Josh Hart was like turning down shots. He's not hitting shots when he does take them. I really wanted to see a little bit more Ragu right there, but in general, Grimes has not played himself into any more minutes. I'm sure if you asked him, he would say, "Hey, if I played 20 minutes a game for 10 games straight, you would see what type of player I am. It's hard to get in a rhythm, this and that." Well, this is the NBA. That's how it works sometimes, especially if you're not, a starter and a main guy. You're going to have to get in where you fit in. And he, unfortunately, has not been able to produce in the minutes that he has had. Your boy Deuce, I think we both kind of jumped the gun on him a little bit. I think we both got real excited and we're like, yo, this is our backup point guard. We're good. And what it comes down to with him is he's a spot up shooter. He's not a dribbler. He's not an initiator. He's not a facilitator. Okay. His handle is crazy shaky. And there's times in games where it seems like he has no ability to dribble into traffic and keep his dribble and dribble out. He picks up the ball immediately when traffic gets around him because you could tell he's not confident and is to not get stripped, or he just gets stripped. And yeah, I think that he's a spot up shooter. He's a defender. He cannot be our backup point guard if we have any aspirations of getting to and out of the second round. We got to add somebody else who is a little bit more of a facilitator. And unfortunately, I think that's going to lead to Deuce kind of just, being that third point guard, not getting a ton of minutes. And it's going to be one of those things where, hey, in the summer, hopefully you can work on your handle and, you can come back and kind of get that that backup point guard spot. But right now, Deuce ain't it.
Yeah, I feel badly. I want Deuce to succeed. I don't want to, I don't want a trade to come up now where we're shipping Grimes and Deuce, and it's like we got no more young guys. I'd like to. I don't want to give up on Deuce yet. But
We
I
can't
do.
trade. We can't trade Deuce.
Can't trade him because we just re-signed him,
Yeah, you
right?
can't trade him until
Can't
the
trade
off.
him. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, listen, there's a chance if we get somebody else, if we get one of these other guys that's been talked about, Deuce may be relegated to the bench again. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm hoping maybe tomorrow night when he sees familiar faces on the other side, his eyes will light up and he'll play like he does in practice.
He can't dribble, Dan. He cannot. He can't dribble. You can't. There's times where, like, if they want to press full court, like somebody has to come help him. He's not Brunson where he can just put a guy on his shoulder and get the ball above half court, and that's that. Like, if they want to press full court, somebody needs to come help him. He can't just break that guy down and get the ball up the floor. I don't think that that's magically going to happen. I just don't. I think that he has shown that he's a capable shooter. He's a very, very good defender for his size. He can't dribble. It's just that simple. And then your boy Precious, Precious ain't it. He ain't it either. I'm sorry, but Precious, like sometimes, I mean, his inability to catch the ball and put up a layup, or sometimes he looks even scared to attempt them. And what's up with your man Sims? Sims gets zero burn. When I watch Precious play, I think to myself, can we get a little bit of, like, maybe I would like to see Sims get a shot here and get some of these minutes. But Sims, yeah, he's attached to the bench. He gets no burn.
Yeah, and I mean, I like Sims. Nice, seems like a nice guy, but I mean, he's not.
Seems like a
He's
nice
not
guy.
right. I mean, he seems like a very nice fellow,
What?
but I don't think he's done anything to distinguish himself and get himself on the court. I mean,
He
he's
doesn't
just
seem that much worse than
young.
Precious, though.
No, not
And
that
he's a
much
little
worse,
bit
but
bigger than
worse.
Precious. Precious is
Yeah, I
small,
don't know. I
man.
don't. I don't think he's better than Precious. I think Precious is actually
Precious,
better than Sims.
The one thing that Precious does better than Sims is he's a little bit better at making defensive rotations. That's the thing when you watch Sims, he's always late on that defensive rotation and ends up just being a foul and an and one. And Precious is a little bit better at that. And Precious is a little bit more, he's a little better at just handling the basketball. I mean, he can shoot a three
Mm-hmm.
and it looks like a competent shot, and he makes his free throws. And I've seen him, make a couple passes here and there. So he is better than Sims. I just don't think he's that much better. And I think that we need a ball handler initiator and we need a big man. So that brings us to some of the deadline moves and what we'd like to see the Knicks do before February 8th, the NBA trading deadline. I will tell you that, first of all, my opinion on this changes hourly, at least 2 or 3 times a day. Okay. So I know that I'm going to totally contradict some things that I've said before, and I will contradict what I'm saying right now again, probably next week. But I'm coming around now on the Spida or DeJounte. I don't think that we're not going to be able to get Spida this year. They're not going to get rid of him. But I'm coming around on that specifically because of a couple things. I see what OG does defensively, and I think that can mask another small guy in Spida somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
Spida's 6'3". DiVincenzo's probably about 6'3" too. So it's not like, he's so much smaller than Ragu, and he's never played for Tibbs. So his defense, he's going to become a slightly better defender just because his coach is going to demand it from him like nobody else ever has. So
Mm-hmm.
and then you put Spider on the team, our offense just becomes bananas. Our offense
Right.
becomes a
Right.
high-powered offense, and if we can still keep a competent to above average to in that top tier defense, I think that makes us still a very, very dangerous team and possibly a contender.
Right. No, I listen. I hear you about the whole size aspect and whatnot, but you know what? Bring Spider in, and if anything, like if you can bring Spider in the off season, then you got to look for like some long rangy, solid defender, two guy in the league, or somebody you can get on the cheap who just, we bring in when we need him. And so I don't friggin' know. I don't know who that person is, but you know what? I heard somebody talking about earlier that's very interesting. There's a change in the whole cap system and in the whole how teams are going to be taxed if
they're
they
above.
go over the luxury, right? And it's going to bump up multiples, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have some teams out there that are not big market teams that want to unload some guys that are making real money. You see where I'm going with this, who I'm talking about. From this town right here,
Oh.
you know what I'm saying, Nick? I mean, things are going really badly for Phoenix.
No,
Things
hold on,
get
hold on,
really
hold on. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Okay, they're 7-3 in their
okay.
last
Okay,
10. Things are going
but
a little
if
bit
something
better.
go badly, something's going to mess up. You know,
We know everybody. We've said it before, and of course, everybody wants Devin Booker. We would love Devin
That's
Booker.
right.
I don't think that. I don't know. I think that's still obviously a pipe
It's a
dream,
pipe dream.
as I'm sure you do too. We'll see how that shakes out. Looking at the deadline, I'm I'm all in on DeJounte Murray. If we can get DeJounte Murray for, I don't know, I don't care about the picks, 3, 4 picks, whatever.
But if we get DeJounte Murray, now you're not even looking at Spider in the offseason.
Right. Well,
Right.
listen, it would have to be some sort of trade if we were looking at. It's not like Spider would have to force a trade.
I know that, but I'm saying, would you even, if you get DeJounte Murray, you're not even pursuing a trade for Spider.
Well, you have to see how the rest of the year goes, and then you have to say if you get him, because you would trade him for Spider. He would be involved.
Oh, okay. I was going to say they can't all be on the team. Okay.
No. But yeah, I listen. I think if DeJounte Murray is available, we can get him. I think we need to go out and we need to go get him. Okay, I think that he is this. First of all, that would solve a couple things because if you put Ragu to the second unit now, that's another ball handler on the second unit. I love Ragu's game. I think that there's times where I wish he played more, especially in the fourth quarter. And honestly, if we can get a Brogdon, Clarkson, Sexton, Tyus Jones, and then leave Ragu in the starting lineup, I'm with that too. Those are
Yes.
really the names. I don't want Terry Rozier. He makes too much money. He signed for 2 more years at 25
No.
million plus. I don't want that as a
And he
backup.
thinks he's too
Ooh,
good.
he thinks he's too good, and you're not gonna play. No, no, no. Yeah, I don't want him. Give me Tyus Jones. Give me Sexton. The only thing about Sexton and Clarkson is obviously Danny Ainge, but we just did a deal with Toronto, and we're in the midst of
Yeah.
litigation with them. So who knows?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, and they also have the guy Kelly Olynyk, because that's the other thing that we need is we need another guy who's 6'10" plus, who's somewhat
Hmm.
competent. So if we could get like an Olynyk and Clarkson for Grimes and picks, that would be perfect in my opinion. But Danny Ainge hates us, so we'll see if that's even possible, if that can even be done.
I think you never know. I mean, yeah, I mean, he's still a businessman at the end of the day. But I mean, listen, Clarkson. I mean, so wait, who does Brogdon play for again right now?
Brogdon's on Portland. We just saw
Portland.
them. Yeah.
Right, that's
The
right.
thing
That's
about
right. There was
Brogdon
somebody
is
out west.
if you look at Brogdon's stats, if you look at him as a player and how he plays, he is a perfect match for what we would need as far as like a combo guard coming off the bench. He shoots like some crazy percentage on spot up threes. I think it's like over 50% or some shit like that. And
Yeah.
on spot up threes, he can handle the ball, he can distribute, he can rebound, he's big. It's just he's always hurt. Like you go look at his games played, and it's like everything's in the fucking 40s. And it's like, yo,
Really?
yeah. So it's like that's the thing. And last year he was the sixth man of the year, but then didn't barely play in the playoffs because he was hurt for Boston. So yeah,
Mm.
the injury thing. Clarkson, to me, Clarkson's perfect. Clarkson is quick on steroids. He's just a straight up pressure cooker off the bench, going to come in and just bang bang. We need points off the bench. We scored 9 bench points last night. 9.
Yeah.
And all of our starters were all over 40 or like 38 or 39 minutes. And that's not sustainable. We've got to bring in somebody who can handle the ball, do a few more things. And, those are the major candidates to me. How would you feel about DeMar DeRozan?
I was kind of pro that a while ago, but what does DeMar DeRozan really do for you? He's not really a ball handler, distributor type.
Not a
So
distributor, but he's the type that you can just give him the ball and say, get me a quality shot. And if he doesn't get a quality
yes,
shot, it's going to end in a quality shot for somebody else.
but does DeMar DeRozan take what's his name off the floor at any time? Brunson.
No, not Brunson.
No.
Well, no, he does. He does. He brings him from 40 plus down to 36 because there's times where you can have a
Right.
lineup where DeRozan is out there and you don't feel the need to immediately get Brunson back in because the offense is a dumpster fire.
I mean, listen, I think DeRozan's a very steady guy. He gives us, I mean, look, we don't need anybody else operating in the paint. But listen, I've seen this guy shooting from three. He looked pretty good from there, too. I think DeRozan can be, I mean, listen, he's a very good player. He's a steady guy and he's a good player. He seems to have a good head on his shoulders, too. I mean, listen, there'd be nothing wrong with bringing in DeRozan, Brogdon, or Clarkson. Any of those three guys would be an upgrade. Obviously, DeJounte Murray would be a major upgrade. Defensively, it would just be nuts with that guy's arms, and then Anunoby behind him, and he would do a lot of things for us because he can play the two, but then he can play the one
Mm-hmm,
when you want to take this guy Brunson off the court too.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I think he fits a lot of he plugs a lot of holes.
Yeah, and he just hit a buzzer beater this week, so I like that he, has the stones to step it up and hit it in the clutch. DeRozan is another guy who's known always as being fairly clutch.
Absolutely.
The more and more I think about those guys, it's just we have a need. We got a few different options. We really need to do something by the deadline. I am very, very confident that we will, and whatever the move is, I'm going to be confident in it because I trust in my guy Leon.
Yeah. I mean, look, man, you have to give Tibbs credit, but then all these people who scream, are anti-Leon, these guys, they're fools. I mean, I'm sorry, man, but their memories are really short. The team that we have now is so much better than the team a few years ago when we were starting the likes of Alonzo Trier. And,
Elfrid Payton.
Tibbs, right? Oh, and Tibbs has made a culture here. I just, the slander against the coach or the front office to me is very foolish. Very, very foolish.
Yeah, those two and your boy Julius, it seems that whenever they have a bad game, a bad day, everybody forgets about, the whole month that they just had, or the
Hmm.
last few seasons that we've just had. Very, very frustrating. You did
People
mention,
can't get out of the narrative, Nick.
yeah,
They're in that narrative and they can't get out of it, you know?
that's all they know. That's all they know. Um, this Saturday, you mentioned before that your boy Deuce was going to be playing against some familiar faces. This Saturday, we play against the Toronto Raptors. RJ and Quickly come back to the Garden. RJ and Quickly have both played pretty well. I think they're 4-5 since the trade. Toronto overall. RJ has had some monster games. The best game of his career, when he dropped 37 on very efficient shooting. I forget exactly what the number was, but he's also had some of those 6 of 16, 1 of 6 from 3 games that we know with RJ, that's never too far away. So he seems to basically be the same player with a little bit more, you know, a little bit more freedom to handle the ball and to do his thing. So he's continued to work out for Toronto. But as I've talked to some Toronto people on Twitter, I always explain to them, I'm telling you that 1 of 6 from 3 is coming. It's always coming with RJ. And it'll be interesting to see. I think the Garden will receive them both well, for sure. I don't. Once the game starts, that's a little bit different. But I think that they will be received well. If RJ puts up an air ball, I think that the Garden will give it to him. And we know with RJ, that's always a possibility. And it'll just be interesting to see them in the Garden. And I look forward to it. And Knicks, we better get a win. I don't be I don't want to see Quick dancing. No dancing Quick when he's calling the visiting side. I don't want to see that shit.
Do they get a tribute video?
Yeah, yeah, I think they do. I think they do.
I
Between the first and second quarter, I think something like that.
I heard it. Well, maybe, yeah, maybe, yeah. I
Is
don't
it
know, but
combined or do they both get their own? Does one
that's
get?
what some people are saying, a combo video, and then people are saying like, oh, they give everybody videos these days. I don't know why. And then guys who got into the argument saying that RJ and Quick don't warrant a video. They're not that good. And then somebody said, well, they gave a video to David Lee when he came back. And then the question came up, well, who was a better player for the Knicks, David Lee or RJ?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with David Lee. But you know
Yeah,
that
me too.
I love David Lee. First of all, I love David
And
Lee.
RJ was here for such a short period of time. David Lee was here for longer.
RJ was here. What is this? This is his 4th year, all right?
I think so, yeah. Fourth
I
or fifth.
think David Lee was around the same. Um, but
But David Lee did more. He had more big games. David Lee was a solid player for us for a few years.
listen, man, David Lee is one of those players. Like if he would have hit the Warriors at a slightly different time, I think he could have ended up being a guy who was like an integral
Uh,
member to that team, especially with the way that he
yeah,
played.
definitely.
One of the most ambidextrous players I've ever seen, David Lee.
Absolutely.
And his
Absolutely.
just, I mean, he was a ball player. He had very, very just good instincts. He was with the Knicks for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons. Five
Really?
seasons with
I
the
thought it
Knicks.
was
Yeah,
more than that. Okay.
5 seasons with the Knicks, and I love David Lee. But a lot of people say that Warriors team when they took off is when they started Draymond over David Lee.
Mm.
That's like when
Can't argue with that.
right. You can't argue with that. But I always thought that David Lee was just solid, man. I mean, those years for the Knicks, he's averaging 10-10, 10-8, 16-11, and then in 2009-10, he played 81 games. He averaged 20 points, 11 rebounds. Yeah, man, I love David Lee's game. I
He
really
was a
do.
solid guy, man. A solid player for us. No doubt about it.
Very solid player. And yes, I would say that he was an overall better Nick than your boy RJ Barrett.
RJ.
And David Lee, I've seen him at the games. He's, one of those once a Nick, always a Nick types where he's
Yes.
always coming through. And I think he does some sort of work with the organization as well. I'm not totally sure on that.
I hope so. I hope so.
Now, when I was looking earlier, I was, looking at Brunson. And you did mention earlier that Brunson should be a starter in the All-Star game. Right
Hmm.
now, my totally unbiased opinion, Brunson is the fourth best point guard in the NBA as we stand here right now.
Who are above him?
So I looked at it and I broke it down. I got SGA as number one overall point guard in the NBA. He's averaging 31, 6, and 6. He's doing it shooting 55% from the field. And
Yeah.
as we've seen when we played against them last year, but especially this year, that cat is just so at his own speed and just makes the game look easy. And they're the number one seed out there in the West. So I got to give it to him as number one. Number two, I got Luka. Luka's got averaging 33, 8, and 9. I mean, the numbers hard to argue against 33, 8, and 9. Just and also the clutch aspect. Defensively, not a great defender, but I'm still gonna go with Luka in the number two spot. Number three, I got my man Steph, 26, 4 and 4. Steph is still Stephing, still doing his thing, still, not only the greatest shooter ever, but it seems to me like he is getting into the paint and finishing a little bit more even this year. And that's always been, I think, a very underrated part about his game. And then I got Brunson at fourth. Brunson, 26, 4 and 6. He's shooting 42% from the three on just over 6.5 attempts. And obviously, I watch him a lot more than others, but when it comes to the importance of him and the way that he controls the game, especially in the fourth quarter and late, I think that he's the fourth best. Right after Brunson, I'm going with Halliburton. He's 24, 4 and 12.
So
Obviously, go ahead.
you think Brunson is the number one point guard in the East?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he is.
Okay.
I think
Well, I think so too. I think he should start in the All-Star game, but I don't know that he will.
Well, Charles Barkley, who's usually a Knicks hater, he said that he's not showing up to the All-Star game if Brunson isn't on the team. And Halliburton obviously is having a great year, breakout year. Hopefully he gets back soon with the hammy. And then I was looking at it because there was one guy who I was like, wait, do I have to put him in there? But I got Dame coming in at sixth. I looked at Dame Dollars numbers and listen, when it comes to if there's a shot that you want at the end of the game, there's nobody in the league I want taking it over him. He did that Dame time shit once again in this past week. Amazing shot, from well beyond the 3-point line. But he's averaging 25, 4 and 7, but he's shooting 43% overall, 35% from three. He does shoot 91% from the line, but I think that he's behind, both Hallie and my man Brunson. I can't find how anyway, if you want to argue Halliburton is better than Brunson, okay, there's an argument there. I personally disagree. I would rather have Brunson. Other than that, I don't see how there's any other point guards in the NBA that you're putting ahead of Brunson, in respect to that list that I just gave to you.
I agree with you. I mean, yeah, he's that good, man. And he's, again, he plays hard and he brings it every night. He's solid. I don't really see where you pick apart Brunson's game. I mean, he's not the greatest defender in the world, but you know what? He gets in passing lanes. He makes some things happen. He makes action on the court. I'm with you 1,000% on that. Brunson is that guy.
Yeah. Brunson, just please stay healthy and continue to be the best point guard for the Knicks since Walt Clyde Frazier. Continue to be that guy. I love watching the game with my son and being able to give him Brunson as an example about the fact that, this guy is the smallest guy on the court. He's probably one of the least athletic on the court. And the reason that he's able to get where he wants is because his handle is so tight. He knows how to use his body and he knows how to play the game, the footwork, the fundamentals. He's like the Tim Duncan of point guards. I mean, his game is just a beautiful thing to watch. It's so New York. That's the other thing that I love is that we're building a team and an identity that really does match with this city and with the city and how we like to watch basketball. OG, even Julius, the way that he plays bully ball, Josh Hart, DiVincenzo, these guys all just play the game with that New York type of feel. And it's just a joy to watch, man. I'm just,
I love it.
We gave Leon Rose a lot of love last week. We'll, clap it up again for him this week. And, hey, just looking forward to the rest of the season. 8-2 since we got OG. Let's go get a little bit of help. Give me a ball handler. Get me a big. And let's rock.
Let's go. Let's go.
All right. The NFL Wildcard Weekend was this past weekend. The Texans, they routed the Browns 45-14. CJ Stroud, 274, 3 touchdowns, continues to cement himself as the greatest rookie quarterback that we've ever seen in the NFL. I mean, and obviously that's saying a lot. Did you see D'Amico Ryans? Did you see the clip where he's talking to, I don't know, it was a safety or a linebacker, and he says to him, look, Flacco's going to do this, you do this, and the ball's going to be right there, and you're going to pick it off. And it was one of the pick sixes, and it was the next play that he did that. I just thought D'Amico Ryans, I've always liked him. He's always seemed like a good coach. But that clip in particular, you can imagine how much guys believe in him when he says things like that to them, and then they go out there and they execute, and it happens. But yeah, your boy Flacco finally, got to the point where those
Yeah.
interceptions start to catch up with them, and yeah, they got smacked by the Texans.
Yeah, D'Amico Ryans, I mean, he's a very good coach. Clearly, his players love him and play hard for him. I love the way he goes about his business. Now, mind you, now, what he said to this guy, and they showed that clip, had the play not happen that way. I'm sure he says things like that all the time, and it doesn't always work out that way. But it did work out that way, so they showed it, and that's great. I think he's a very good coach. Just like when, what was it, Salah or Ulrich or whatever said that to Tony Adams that time, and he
Mm-hmm,
took and the
mm-hmm,
ball right there.
mm-hmm.
So I think these guys know the game, man. And listen, D'Amico Ryan's learned under Salah, right? Um, these guys, they know the game, man, and he's a very, very good coach. And this team truly believes in him, and they should because he's that good. And they've got some good young players, and they got something going over there. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely interesting to see what happens with them this week, and just getting a chance to see this guy Stroud, how magical he can make this run, because
Yeah.
that kid, man, I mean, his arm talent, his overall just the way he carries himself, his accuracy, he clearly understands the game. He's got a great story too. It
Mm-hmm.
just seems unflappable, that guy. The Chiefs, they handled the Finns 26-7 in Arrowhead. Everybody knows the Dolphins don't do well when they have to go to cold temperatures, and we saw that once again. Your boy Tua looked very shaky, and the Chiefs are now looking like, maybe they're starting to figure some things out at the right time. They had a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
a lull there in the season, and they were able to secure that W 26-7.
Yeah, they looked impressive, man. I mean, Kelsey getting more balls, catching more balls. That guy, Rashid, what's that receiver's name? Rashid Ree or something like that, a three-letter last name, I believe. But he's very good. Just they're an exciting team, man. And that guy Pacheco, man, when he gets a hold of the ball and he gets a little space, he can really scoot. And but
You
it's
love
funny.
Pacheco. You love Pacheco. You're always talking.
I
I
say when
think
that guy runs, man, he
you just
looks
like
exciting.
saying you just like saying
No,
Pacheco.
I don't care about saying his name.
I'm
But
pretty
I
sure
think
I like Pacheco. I'm pretty sure Pacheco's a Jersey boy.
is he?
I
Okay.
think so.
But the just when that guy gets the ball, he runs, his legs move so fast, it looks like he's running even faster than he is. Similar to Fred Flintstone's bowling style. But no, he's a good player. They have some good players on that team and obviously an excellent coach. I like Mahomes, so it'll be very interesting watching them. We're going to go the rest of the way, and especially going against Buffalo this week where they're playing in Buffalo. So it's going to be cold weather again. Shouldn't bother either team, right? So much. But it's in Buffalo, and it's going to be a real interesting look to see what they can do there. Josh Allen's playing a lot better. I mean, come on, man. That guy's really turned it around and turned it up. And he's making it happen, man. So that's going to be a great matchup once again. It always is.
Yeah, they were able to beat the Steelers 31-17 in that game. Josh Allen both running and throwing the ball very
Mm-hmm.
effectively, and they took care of business against the Mason Rudolph-led Steelers. Good to see that Tomlin is not going anywhere. I didn't think that the Steelers would be silly enough to make a knee-jerk decision like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what that organization is about. The Lions, Rams. really the only compelling game of the weekend. The Lions were able to win 24-23. Happy for the city of Detroit. They had all the stars out there. Everybody is really excited to see their city finally get a team that's a winner. It's their first playoff win in ages. Very, very
Mhm.
cool for them. And Matthew Stafford, he comes back. He ends up having a pretty good game. I think the thing about Stafford is he can make every throw. Can make every throw. He's got a fantastic arm. It's just Detroit was just a better team overall and just a better team that day. Both teams have shaky secondaries. Detroit was able to you just edge them out just by that 1 point. And it'll be interesting once again to see what Detroit can do this weekend as they play against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and your boy Baker Mayfield. But before we get into what we think about next week's game, how did you feel about Detroit securing that win against the LA Rams?
I mean, it's impressive. You have to be impressed with Campbell, the way he's running this team and got these guys believing. Jared Goff playing very well. I mean, the guy's a legitimate, good NFL quarterback. Gotta love what he's doing, and that defense. They're running around like their hair's on fire, man. And Aiden Hutchinson up front making things happen. I just, you like what you see. I think they can, well, we'll get into it in a minute, but them against Tampa, it's no sure thing, but they got a real shot. It's not like they're playing San Francisco or something.
Right, right. And then the Bucks, they crushed the Eagles 32-9. The Eagles collapse
Wow.
concludes.
Wow.
Just, they had a lot of injuries, obviously, no AJ Brown. Your boy Travis, not Travis, Jason Kelsey, he retired. You see, well, he hasn't officially retired, but everybody says
Right.
he's done.
Hmm.
What a cool story he is. His whole story about how he was, only like 225 pounds. He played linebacker. He didn't get any Division One offers. He walked on at Cincinnati, and then I think like one season they basically were just like, hey, maybe gain some weight and you can try playing center. And he never looked back. Ends up getting into the NFL, sixth round pick, starts at center his rookie season. I think there was an injury and he steps up and then goes on to have what's definitely going to be a Hall of Fame career, six Pro Bowls, the architect of a Super Bowl team, and
Hmm.
just some very good teams over the years. I think that tush push. He is the biggest reason why that was so successful, but he
Hmm.
goes ahead and hangs it up after the game. Baker Mayfield has a great game. The Eagles only scored 9 punts. That Bucks defense, especially that defensive front, did a fantastic job. Before I ask you about that game, I got to ask you real quick because your boy Todd Bowles, who's usually pretty dry, did you see the question that he got asked by
I did not.
a young lady who was one of the reporters asked him about how they were going to deal with the cold weather in Detroit. They talked about the temperatures and all these different things. And he said, you do know that they play in a dome, so that the only time that we'll have to deal with the cold weather will be the few minutes that we walk from the bus to the stadium. And he kind of smiled and they just moved on. There was almost a part of me that felt bad. I'm telling you, there's some other female reporters who were face palming when they heard that, like, yo, come on, yo, don't represent us like that.
Right.
Stupid, stupid question. But hey, I think that if at the beginning of the season you asked anybody if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you're going to make it to the second round of the playoffs, they would all say that that's a successful season going into it this year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, listen, nobody thought Tampa Bay would be here. This is very good for Baker going forward, and very good for Todd Bowles too. I mean, this bodes well for both of them. Whether or not they are going to beat
Lions.
the Lions, I don't know, man. I think, oh man, that's a really tough game right there because I think both of those teams. What is the line on that one, Nick?
The Lions, as we speak, are 6 point favorites.
Wow, 6 point favorites. Okay, at their house. Yeah, I mean, look, that defense, they start getting after Bake, Bake could have a tough time. If I had to make my first pick right now, I would take I
Slow down, slow down. We'll
Okay,
get to the
okay.
picks. Relax, relax.
All right, all right, all right.
All right. And then last but not least, the Dallas Cowboys blitzed early by the Packers. They end up
Wow.
losing the game 48-32. Your boy Love looked great, throwing off his back foot, commanding the offense, especially early. He looked fantastic. Cowboys, I gotta say, they looked a little shook. They look a little shook.
Oh
You heard
yeah,
the
terrible.
the commentators were saying it early in the game, before the game even got away. They were saying that they just, in both pregame and just looking at them on the field, that they just looked out of sync and they just looked almost a little like shell shocked. And I've heard multiple former players make that exact same point as well. That they said, I heard at least a couple guys say that just from looking at the guys both pregame and once the game started, they just did not, they just looked like something was off. And specifically, Dak looked like he was a little
Well,
bit shook.
Dak came out and said, he said I was playing too fast, and he was. He was playing fast, and right, like you say, you're in the league for the 8th year. You're getting paid $40 million a year. You can't be the guy that's rushed or playing fast. Okay,
No,
I need
no,
you to be Mr. Stable right here, and he
no.
wasn't. It was very disappointing. But yeah, it's very disappointing. I expected more from him and from the entire team and their defense. I mean, listen, I thought the offense sucked and whatnot. They didn't play well, the turnovers, all that. But I think, honestly, if I was a Cowboy fan, I might be a little more annoyed with the defense because they made zero adjustments, and guys were catching the ball where there was nobody else in the camera shot.
Right, right,
I
right.
mean, it was insane. You don't usually see things like that, but I mean that happened a few times in the game. I mean, throughout the game, so no adjustments were made to stop that from happening. I didn't get that at all, man. I was really surprised at that. And then, listen, a lot of people have pointed this out about the Cowboys. They're too light in the ass up the middle, man.
Yeah,
Anybody can run on them because they got a 210-pound guy playing linebacker in the middle.
right, right.
I mean, come on, man.
Listen, I think both McCarthy and Quinn got totally outclassed by LaFleur and his
They
staff.
did.
I
They
thought
did.
that was crystal clear. And I've heard a couple breakdowns that make a little more. First of all, during the game, the commentators were talking about the fact that it looked like the Packers had paid attention to some of the tendencies of the Cowboys and were taking advantage of them. And Shannon Sharp, I heard him talk about the fact that when he was with Shanahan, they would change every 4 weeks. They would
Mhm.
start change. They would change stuff up. They would change stuff up. They would, even if it's the same play, they would change up the formation or whatever, just because everybody else in the league is watching what you're doing. McCarthy, back when he was in Green Bay, he had the reputation of being somebody who was just very bland as far as his overall offense and the way that he calls the game. And it seemed like the Packers knew exactly what was going to happen. I thought him and Quinn, who a lot of people are saying Quinn is going to get a look at being a head coach. I, I wouldn't want that. If I would not want him to come be the head coach of my organization. And I just thought that they both did not look great. And it was interesting. We have now learned that Jerry Jones has decided to retain McCarthy, and he will be coming back for another year. What do you think about just the way that they coach that game, and what do you think about Jerry Jones's decision to bring McCarthy back?
They had a terrible game. I mean, it was obviously a terrible game. I don't think I'm not as down on McCarthy as you are. I mean, they were 12-5, and I mean, he didn't forget how to coach the way he had coached the last 17 games to a 12-5 record. That said, clearly there's some improvements that need to be made. I don't think they're going to have Dan Quinn because, like you said, a lot of people want Dan Quinn. But I got to say, defensively, if my guy, if after that game, I wouldn't want to be bringing Dan Quinn in to be my head coach. Okay. And like I said, I thought the offense was terrible. Turnovers or something that was terrible. But again, I mean, I don't know how you blame turnovers really on the coach. That's really on the quarterback more than anything. And if he doesn't have those again, with the defense playing like they did, I mean, you were down 27-0 in no time. So that kind of put the offense in. They were down 27 to like 7 or 6 at the halftime.
Right, but that's also due to the ineptitude
Right?
of the offense as well.
ineptitude in the offense, but also turnovers, Nick. And then
Ineptitude and
these
turnovers.
guys
Right.
are just driving down the field. So now your offense, now what can your offense do? Your offense has to go into like throw mode and all that, and you're playing right into these guys. So if your defense, listen, the offense was fucking up early. Like I say, most especially with the turnovers. If your defense can either get turnovers or stop these guys, maybe it's 14-7, maybe it's 17-7 at the half. You can still play your game plan. And that defense was just an absolute joke. And it didn't seem like they had any intention of trying to figure out a way to stop these guys. So I thought that sucked. But, we're going to have to see where it goes from here. I thought, and I told you this, I thought that, if I'm Jerry Jones, unless you feel like you can work with Belichick and bring him in and all that. And I don't even know if Belichick wants to go there. You know what I mean? So I don't know all that, but I
Belichick
can
wants
see
to be a decision maker, and the
right.
reports is that they're just working out as assistant coaches, but that the Belichick to the Falcons is a done deal. That's what some of the reports are.
Okay, and that might happen, and that's great because they'll give him everything he wants. I don't think he would have gotten everything he wants from the Cowboys. And a lot of people say, "Oh, well, Jerry's ego this, Jerry's ego that." Listen, that may be true, but people always kill me. They're like, "Oh, get rid of the owner, get rid of the owner." What are you talking about? If I own a pizza shop and somebody comes in and says, "I don't like your sauce," sell the store. I tell them, yeah, okay, goodbye. Get out my door, and I shut the door behind them, and I keep selling my pizza. Especially if I bought this pizza shop for 200 million and now it's worth 10 billion. Okay,
Right.
but Jerry can do certain things a little differently. But you know what? It's his team. He's 80 something years old. He'll run it the way he wants. And I can see how at his age, right now, I don't want to tear it down and try to rebuild again. I got to try stay with these guys and build these guys up. And I heard some people said that he and McCarthy get along really well. Now, a lot of people want to say that as, oh, that's just because McCarthy's some sort of, I don't know,
Like he's
just
like a patsy.
a patsy or whatever. I don't know if he is or not, Nick, but I mean, listen, there's a lot of owners who call the shots of the team. And you know what? If this owner is the owner of the team and he calls the shots and he pays me $10 million a year and he calls the shots, guess what? I keep my mouth shut and I let him call the shot. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I don't get into all the hyperbole and all that stuff. And I think that if I'm Jerry, I see why Jerry kept him around. Could be a good decision, could be a bad decision. We'll find out.
If I was a Cowboys fan, I totally would not be happy about Jerry Jones calling all the shots the same way I wasn't happy back when Dolan used to meddle as much as he did.
Yeah,
Um,
wait. Where is Jerry Jones really meddling with the on the field play? Jerry Jones and his sons have done a good job of stacking that team with talent.
some
Now, I
would
don't
say,
think
but maybe not when it comes to people up the middle, so that they're not getting run all
right,
over at the
right,
point they're
right,
going to get
right.
made.
That maybe they messed up there. They should have gotten more talent there. But as far as bringing in free agents and drafting, they haven't done badly,
They
Nick.
also picked the coaches, and they've picked Jason Garrett and they've
Right.
picked McCarthy. And I'm sorry, when it comes to McCarthy, he's a stooge. I've never thought he was a good coach. I thought he was a
The
bad
Stooge, and
coach.
he's got the team going 12-5.
Yeah, they've had 12 wins the last 3 seasons and zero playoff wins. And he got totally outclassed by your boy LaFleur. And
Mhm.
I didn't think he maximized Aaron Rodgers when he was there. I don't like McCarthy. I've never liked McCarthy. Back when I remember there was one point where you were like, oh, I'd be okay with McCarthy coming to the Jets. And I was like, absolutely not. Keep him away. I don't like McCarthy. I understand that Jerry Jones probably doesn't want to blow it up at his, advanced age. I
Mhm.
think if I were him, I would bring in a different coach, but I would keep Dak just because
Yeah.
Dak didn't step it up. Dak needs to be better in those moments. My friends who are Cowboys fans, shout out to my boy Chop. He wants to blow up the whole thing. He's thinking about relinquishing his entire Cowboy fandom
Mhm.
over this past week's L. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, who are you replacing Dak with? That's the
That's
thing. I
right.
don't see anybody that's going to be out there that's going to be like, okay, this guy's so much better than Dak. So you're going to end up having to pay Dak and keep him. But I think McCarthy is a straight up stooge. I think he looks like he's a step slow. I think when I think of McCarthy, you know what I think of? I think of that report that came out of Green Bay that said, as opposed to studying film, he was always in in his office getting massages from his personal masseuse, and I just picture his big fat ass,
with a
yeah,
towel over his ass.
with towel over his ass on the massage table, and just like big slab of beef, and the
Oh,
lady and the lady's like
oh,
doing like the chops, and he's
right.
just like, I don't know why. That's
You
what I.
got a break, man. Dude likes a massage. Ain't nothing wrong with a
Nah,
massage
man.
at
Listen,
all.
everybody likes a massage, but if you're my NFL coach, I need you looking at tape while you're getting that massage because I need you to be
That's
that
what I'm saying. Maybe he's
maniacal
watching
and crazy about
video.
it.
Maybe he's got the video camera through the bottom of the table. You know
Nah,
what I'm saying?
he's
He's looking at the video camera down there.
nah, he's watching like diners, drive-ins, and dives or some shit like that. Like he ain't watching no tape, man. I don't know. He's not. I've never been fond of him. I've never looked at him positively, and I think he got clearly outcoached this past week. And if I was the owner of the Cowboys, he would be out, but I'm not. And we'll see when they run it back again next year. Hopefully, the Cowboys give me another reason to laugh at them because it's always funny to laugh at their expense.
I am frankly amazed from New York City, all my friends from New York. I find it interesting that so many people are just going in. Giants fans are going in on, oh, you're out of the playoffs, Cowboys, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, really? I mean, like, okay, as a Jets fan, I'm not going to stand there and try to clown the Dolphins. Okay, they beat us this year. They went much further than us this year. I'm not going to mess with them. They lost.
Giants,
Okay, they lost.
Giants, Cowboys, Eagles fans, it's something a little bit different though. They hated
Okay,
their hatred of each other just from
I get
knowing
that, but
people
I
from
think
all of
you
those
look
fan
like a
bases.
sap. I think you look like a sap giving a team shit when they were much better than your team.
Yeah, no, I'm with you
I
on that.
wouldn't go that route.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the big guy locks. So divisional round, it starts on Saturday. There will be a total of 4 games this weekend. Last week, you split the baby. You went 3-3 on your
Yeah.
big guy locks. This week kicks off with the Texans playing at the Ravens. Should be some inclement weather. Looks like there will be snowfall on Saturday afternoon. The Ravens are favored by 9.5 at home. Who you got?
Ravens favored by 9. I got to go with the Ravens. That's a tough one, but Lamar. I'm Team Lamar, man. I'm down with Lamar. I got to go Lamar. I got to go Ravens. Ooh, that's a tough one. But it is in Baltimore. They're going to be going wild. They Lamar's got to do it, man. He's got to do it this week.
He's going to
Let's
do it,
show
but is he going to
Lamar.
do it by
Let's
10
lay the
points or
points.
more? Okay, you want to lay the
Let's lay the
points.
points. Let's lay the points.
Ravens minus 9.5. Then we have the Niners. They are 9.5 point favorites. They are hosting the Packers. Jordan Love has a great playoff debut. Niners have looked like the best team in football all year. 9.5 points. It's a big number. What do you think, big guy?
It is. It is. And I hate constantly be laying 9.5, 10 points over and over again. So I think this time I'm gonna go a little different. I think the Niners are gonna win, but I'm gonna pick I'm gonna pick them. I'm gonna take the points on that.
Okay,
I
so
don't
you
think
got the
I'll lay the points.
Packers plus 9.5.
Yeah, I think Jordan Love continues the carpet ride, but he falls short in the end.
Gotcha.
He makes a crucial turnover near the end of the game.
The Bucks and your boy Baker Mayfield, they are getting 6 as they travel to the D. Talk to me, big guy. How we feeling? Bucks plus 6 at Detroit.
That's again very tough because I like Baker. I like him. I told you when he came out, I would have drafted him over the other quarterbacks that year, and he turns out it appears that he is the best quarterback from that draft, right? I mean, is there a better quarterback from that draft? Who's
What?
it?
That's a
Sam Darnold.
no, Josh Allen, my guy. Josh Allen's
Josh
the best
Allen.
quarterback.
Okay, yeah, Josh Allen. Okay, but all right. So I guess I got to go. I guess. Ooh, Baker. What's the point spread again?
So the Bucks are plus 6.
Bucks plus 6. I think I think I got to lay the 6. I got to lay the
Okay.
6. Bucks are going to fall short.
Okay, so you got Detroit minus 6. in that matchup. And then the Bills and the Chiefs, they
Wow.
continue their rivalry. Mahomes and his homies, they travel to Buffalo. The hometown Bills, they are currently favored. That line just moved. They are 2.5 point favorites. What do you think there?
I got the Chiefs. I got the Chiefs. I like Buffalo. They've been playing really well, but I don't think their defense is as good as the Chiefs' defense. I think what's his name, Mahomes, is really coming into his own again. He's starting to sharpen up, and I think listen, with that Chiefs defense, I think Josh Allen could make the big mistake. He could be baited into the big mistake. But I think I got to go Chiefs there. That's a
Okay.
dog.
If you followed the big guy last week, you ended up having a weekend of
Hey,
football and coming away even. Follow him again
listen,
this.
I got my disclaimer here. Kids, you kids out there, save your money, buy CDs, don't gamble. Now I've given my disclaimer. Do whatever you want.
Catch us every week on YouTube or wherever you find your podcasts. Please follow, like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification button on all platforms. Really appreciate all the love. We try to stay as current as possible. So episodes will be dropping on Thursdays or Fridays, depending on the Knicks schedule. You can find us on all socials at he_did this to me. Love you, big guy.
Love you, kid.